Greetings and welcome to In Depth. I'm Dike Rostant. Anthony Maillard, founder of Anthony's Cari-Jazz, they launched their first annual Students Music Award program in January 9th, 2023. Now he joins us now to give us the ins and outs of that, as well as the proposed impact it will have on the cultural landscape and how you can be a part of it. Welcome, Mr. Anthony. How you do, sir?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Definitely our pleasure to have you. And let's start off by getting an idea of the aim of Anthony's Cari-Jazz and how that launched or propelled you into the Students Award program. Thank you.
Well, the aim of the Anthony's Cari-Jazz is really to promote Caribbean jazz throughout the world. So our tagline is Caribbean jazz to the world. And the second tagline would then be support, enhance, promote, and repeat. And the idea is really to get our Caribbean jazz in front of world musicians or world stages, to be seen, to be played, to have their vision and their music, or our music, propelled elsewhere.
And one of the things when you say that, it makes me think of Derek Walcott talking about the difference between a writer from the Caribbean versus a Caribbean writer. When you say Caribbean jazz, what kind of nuances or distinctions do you put to that title?
Well, I mean, we're talking about music that is predominantly influenced by the diverse cultures of the Caribbean diaspora. The music features the harmonious synergy and musical styles or signatures of Africa, Europe, East Indian, indigenous descendants. It's a Caribbean influenced jazz, different to any other jazz in the world. I mean, I liken it to, Zydeco jazz, which is out of New Orleans, and New Orleans jazz, or, other forms of jazz, there's French Canadian jazz, which is different to everywhere else. So we have our own jazz culture and our own jazz style. And I think that needs to be promoted, and our artists, first and foremost, need to be promoted throughout the world. So that's the aim that we have.
Okay, and it's one thing to promote the artists, but they're individuals who are now coming up, students. So there's this award, this Students Award program. What is that about, and why did you say, okay, well, this is a step that I'm going to take, or Anthony's Cari-Jazz is going to take?
It's a natural progression. I mean, we have to move forward in trying to engage the younger students into one, playing jazz, understanding what our jazz is about, or Caribbean jazz is about, and getting them involved in the art form. I mean, a lot of them are involved in American art form. They find it very interesting, or dexterity to play Charlie Parker, or play Miles Davis. And what we want them to understand is that we have our own leaders in the forefront, that they need to learn and understand where they came from, what they did, and what the leadership is within the Caribbean diaspora.
But answer the person who says, well, I'm looking and it feels as though if I follow this train of thought, if this style, it would be almost as though I'm setting myself up to be a big fish in a small pond. Have you had those conversations? If so, what are some of the things that have been going back and forth with proponents on either side?
Well, first of all, we are a small pond, right? That's number one. Number two is we're all small fishes, if you want to call it that, in a small pond. When you look at the comparison to world jazz music, but that doesn't mean to say we cannot promote ourselves and we cannot find a way to get onto the world stage with our style of music. We look at the steel pan promoting worldwide. That is our music and our style of music getting onto the world stage. But we need more people doing this. We need more avenues to do this. It cannot just be the existing 2 or 3 people that are roaming the hemisphere playing steel pan. We have to get other students involved. We have to get other people involved, and we have to promote ourselves within our own culture first, within our own country, lighten ourselves within our own country, span that to the Caribbean. So we need to get more of our artists involved in the Caribbean jazz or Caribbean jazz festivals around the Caribbean, and then get them known on the world stage. So we have to get artists from here who are good enough and well qualified to be playing at the Seattle Jazz Festival, the New Orleans Jazz Festival and in Europe, etc.
And there's a competitive aspect to this, and I hear that it's NLCB approved. So give me some of the logistics of that. Thank you.
Okay, so we're talking specifically about the program now. The program is really to get students involved, students at the third or fourth year level of music in the university, involved in submitting a song to us. It doesn't have to be an original composition. They would submit the song to us and really be adjudicated as to how well they're playing and be awarded the winner being awarded a prize at the end, so to speak. But the idea is to involve all the students, get them involved in promoting something or promoting themselves. So the first part of the program, the first part of it, the entry process is to get the student involved, to send us a video of them playing. The second part of it is to get a workshop going whereby we have all of these students being mentored on a particular day by some of the veterans in the business. So they would get mentoring on that day, or how to put together an EPK, how to put together their promo, how to do a video, what not to do on stage. Things, it's likened to things they don't teach you at Harvard or things they don't teach you in university. So they would get it from the horse's mouth, so to speak. They would get it from the veterans who have experienced the challenges in the business. They would be able to share information on what happens when you travel, what to look for, what are the pitfalls. So that's what the workshop is really all about. And then coming out of the workshop, what we'd like to do is to pair the 4 individuals that are selected for the finals. We'd like to pair those individuals with 4 of the, the liked or likened musicians, so they can be coached towards the final performance. And the final performance is scheduled for June, the first week in June. And we will have the four finalists prepare a program of 15 minutes to 20 minutes that they will perform on stage, and then be adjudicated as to how well they performed or how well they played.
I really like that mentorship aspect. I think it's so crucial, but we have about a minute and a half before we break for the first half. But do you find a proliferation of one type of instrumentalist in terms of flautists like yourself, people involved in brass? Who are you getting thus far?
Guitars, a lot of guitars. Some parang people, we haven't gotten any singers yet, which I'm quite surprised about. But there hasn't been any trombonists. There's been a couple of saxophonists. So it's a varied form. And again, we teach a lot of music in school, and there's a varied form of instruments being used in school. We haven't gotten any pianists, which is very, very strange to me. I'm surprised that no pianists have applied. But that's the cross section right now.
All right, and we actually continue with the conversation. When we return, we are speaking about the Student Music Award Program out of Anthony's Cari-Jazz, and we continue when we return. Stay with us. Welcome back. We are speaking with Anthony Maillard, founder of Anthony's Cari-Jazz, and we just heard a piece of music, and it seems as though the conversation is happening a little after something took place. So tell us a bit about it, please, Mr. Anthony.
Well, I didn't hear the music, but I presume you're alluding to the Mongol Patasar contest last Thursday. Yes.
Yes.
That was the first in our 9-part series that we're putting on at Cafe Blue. And it's really a 9-part series in honor of the students, or to promote the student award. And a lot of the artists have given their time and given their efforts to getting this done. So we're having what is called Anthony's Cari-Jazz at Cafe Blue, a 9-part series of concerts over the next 9 months, from March until November. And we are lining up we're lining up a performer every last Thursday of the month. Before the featured performer, we're also going to have an open mic session for which we invite all students to come and participate. The last Thursday we had a very successful night as a first night. Mongol entertained the crowd very well. It was incredible. It was I was quite moved, actually. It was quite surprising. It was very good. So we look forward to the other shows in the series. On April 27th, we have Theron Shaw on board with us. So we're looking forward to that and getting that promoted over the next month.
And what time does it start? And I say, what time does it start? This is both for open mic as well as the featured performer.
Right. So we start at 8 o'clock. Generally, we have a performer in the foyer downstairs where there are people, as people are coming in, they're entertained by a performer. This weekend we had the Belmont folk dancers, cultural folk dancers, and it fitted in well with our Baptist Liberation Day. And next month we hope to have a guitarist because we're having Theron Shaw as a guitarist. We want to involve a lot of the cultural aspects of coming to the show. And so we plan to have artists, marketeers, people downstairs that are going to invite or welcome the guests on board. And once they arrive upstairs, the open mic will begin at 8 p.m. And hopefully the main act will start around 9:15 or 9:30.
And I think it's so important in terms of being able to express and the different articulations that our talent, our culture has, and it inspires something that a term cultural confidence, because I think sometimes we know what we know, but we're not necessarily the most confident in it sometimes. So it's easy for us to adopt something else that we see being purported as the thing. But if we know that what we have is not even the next best thing, is better than sliced bread, I think we hold on to it a little easier, and we're willing to tell people, no, what you're doing, look at what we have, and tell me how you feel about it. And I think that also, like you said, is a natural progression to the students. But what kind of impact do you think something like this will have on the students who qualify? Because we didn't even talk specifically about what the award is, as well as some of the stages and criteria for participation. So let me know now.
Well, what I liken this to, many years ago, about 10 years ago, there was a band formed in Trinidad called the Divine Echoes, and the National Pan Philharmonic. And if you look at today's grouping of musicians that are out there playing in tents or playing music or playing wind instruments or playing a lot of the shows, they're from that band, or they're from that era, and they're encouraging other students to come on board or other players to come on board and play. So I mean, we have to have an outlet whereby these students have an opportunity to go and play somewhere. A music student is not going to, someone in music school is not going to pick up an instrument just to say I played flute. They want to be able to move to the next level. How do we get them to move to the next level? This is an intermediary step. They can come and play at the Cafe Blue, play in front of an audience, learn a song well, whether it be, a classical song or Caribbean jazz song, preferably. But play in front of an audience, get some experience, and know what it is going to take to get to the next level or the next step. Not all music students, like not everyone who graduates with music degree goes on to play live. They may just do it because they like the instrument and they want to play, and they go on to be maybe architects and doctors and lawyers, and they can play on the side. But the opportunity is there we're providing the opportunity for these students and anybody really to come and enjoy their craft, have a moment in the sun, have the audience, I wouldn't say rate them, but play in front of a live audience and enjoy that time.
But you said something there, and it makes me wonder how much is society to blame for maintaining people having that skill as a hobby versus going into it. That's one. And I also think sometimes the person who is that doctor, the person who is that architect, but have that basis, that foundation in music as well, they're able to approach certain situations on a critical level that is a little different in a positive manner. But I want you to speak to the possibilities that the mentorship aspect brings about. Because I don't think it's anybody who just be able to walk down the road and say, hey, Mr. Shaw, let me get some guitar classes now. But being able to link with some of these people who are professionals in their field, who have been at it for a while, who can tell people, okay, well, this worked for me, it may work for you. How important is that, especially when that's not something that may have been run of the mill a little while ago?
Well, I mean, it goes without saying. I think it's very, very important. It's very important to put some, it's like going to a psychologist, like they say, he's going to tell you what the right things to do or how, get into your head and say, okay, well, you're thinking this way, but maybe you should think that way, So it's really important that we get these students in front of the veterans. And, you mentioned Terry Shaw and Ming and, Vaughn at Bigfoot, to speak to them and tell them, these are the pitfalls. Watch out for the holes in the road. I can help you do this. And if we can assign a particular student to one of these veterans for a month, even for an hour, over a month, let's say for 1 hour a week, it's more than they would have had, without it. And certainly they're going to learn and garner something from it. And, maybe they'll decide, well, this is not for me because I didn't think about all of these things. I didn't think of all of these pitfalls. But maybe it will enlighten them and say, okay, this is exactly what I want to do. I feel good when I'm doing this, right? But, having that person set them on the right track, having that person give them that one-on-one mentoring, that look in the eye and see that glare and that glaze and that style come about, I think that's a wonderful thing for a musician. And they know that they want to play. And that emotion and that feeling, that passion comes out.
And what might also be wonderful is a corporate entity saying, okay, well, I want to be part of this. How does that person, that entity, that organization get onto you, Anthony?
Well, that would be just wonderful, Dike. Well, we are Anthony's Cari-Jazz. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and my number is 313-3212. We would love to have corporate Trinidad on board with us. We would love to have some sponsorship and mentoring from the sponsors and working with us. It would be a great opportunity for them to partner with us over the next 9 months and going forward, because all of the shows at Cafe Blue, part proceeds from those shows go to the award program. So it's something that is really vital to us. And it's not just for jazz people. It is about the culture.
And you say that, and I am really thinking about this month because I fell in love with the music of Terrence Shaw listening to the Sojourn, that album. So definitely that's something I'm taking a little note about. But we want to thank you so much, Anthony Maillard, Anthony's Cari-Jazz, launching that Student Music Award program. And on behalf of the entire TTT News team, I'm Dike Rostant. This has been In Depth with me. Thank you so much for joining us.